The only light in the room came from a green shaded banker's lamp, casting a sickly emerald glow across the piles of leather-bound books while the rain outside hammered against the glass, drowning out the city noise and leaving only the intimate, heavy silence of the study. She sat on the edge of the heavy mahogany desk, her posture casual but commanding, her heels dangling just inches above the floor and swinging slightly in a hypnotic rhythm, while she wore a sharp charcoal blazer with her dark hair pulled back to emphasize the sharp, intelligent angles of her face. She wasn't looking at a book. She was looking at you, taking a slow sip from a tumbler of amber liquid before setting it down on a stack of papers and leaning forward so the lamplight caught the glint in her eyes. "You want to know about true fear?" she asked, her voice low like silk dragged over gravel. "It isn't a monster in the closet, and it isn't a slasher in the woods, because true fear is domestic. It's small, and it's quiet." She traced the rim of the glass with a manicured fingernail before beginning her tale about the house on Wicker Lane, which was bought by a man named Arthur, a man of routine who lived alone and meticulously locked every door and checked every window before bed. She paused for effect, tilting her head as she described how 3 weeks in, Arthur woke up at 3 a.m., not knowing why, finding the house silent until he heard a soft click from downstairs, the unmistakable sound of the front deadbolt sliding back. She leaned in closer, invading your personal space as she described Arthur freezing, listening for footsteps or the creak of a floorboard but hearing only silence, forcing him to grab his baseball bat and creep downstairs with his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird, only to find the front door wide open with rain blowing into the hallway. She smiled a tight, humorless expression as she explained that Arthur blamed himself, locked it again, chained it, and went back to bed. But the next night, at exactly 3 a.m., he heard the click again, followed by the sound of the chain sliding and the bolt turning. She stopped swinging her legs and went perfectly still as she described Arthur running down immediately this time, finding the door open again, but with no footprints in the mud and no wet tire tracks outside, leading the police to find nothing and tell him to get a better alarm system. "The third night," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the drumming rain, "Arthur didn't sleep. He sat on the stairs holding a kitchen knife and staring at the front door, waiting for the intruder until 3 a.m. came and the house groaned." She gripped the edge of the desk, her knuckles white, describing how Arthur saw the lock turn and the chain slide, but there was no hand on the latch and no one standing there because the mechanism was moving by itself. "But that wasn't the scary part," she said, her eyes widening slightly. "The scary part was that the lock wasn't turning from the inside." She pointed a finger at the imaginary door in the air, explaining that it was being unlocked, but the tumblers were clicking as if the key was already inside them, as if the metal itself wanted to open, making Arthur realize that the house wasn't trying to let someone in. She leaned back, returning to the shadows of the upper room so the green light only illuminated her legs and hands. "The house," she finished, her voice flat and final, "was trying to let something out, something that had been waiting in the foundation long before the bricks were laid." She picked up her glass again, swirling the liquid as she told you that Arthur ran that night and never went back, leaving everything he owned behind. But sometimes in his new apartment miles away, he wakes up at 3 a.m. and swears he can hear his own front door unlocking. She took a sip, looking at you over the rim of the glass, and whispered that it happens not because someone is there, but because once a door decides to open, it never really closes.